forflytte oss igjen da.
Ja, det har
Denne
vi.
gangen på Molde Hotell.
Ja.
Og vi skal i gang med en ny episode av Hotell og Reiselivspodden.
Ja.
Denne gangen så må vi faktisk switche over på engelsk.
Vi må det, Stephen. Og vi får bale oss gjennom det så godt vi kan.
For å prøve så godt vi kan.
Men heldigvis så har vi jo altså verdens hyggeligste selskap.
Det har vi.
And then we switch over to English. Og vi må bare beklage det. Vårt haltende engelsk, vi får gjøre det så godt vi kan.
We are trying as good as we can to
We're
speak
trying as
in
good as we
English.
can. Because this is not the mother tongue of any of us today. But
Exactly.
we have the great pleasure of welcoming you, Your Excellency, the French ambassador to Norway.
I must just say, it's an honor to
It
have
is
you
an
with
honor.
us.
Oh, I'm very pleased. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, well, we're so happy to have you for so many reasons,
Yes,
actually.
absolutely.
But we know too. We have to know a bit more about you, who you are, where you come from, and you have allowed us to call you Florence.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
You might regret, but it's too late now.
So let's do it, if you say so. Okay.
So, Florence, who are you, really?
Oh,
Where do you come from? What's
well,
your,
I was born in Paris, and I'm living in Paris. But my family is coming from the eastern part of France, which is Alsace, which I think we will say a little bit more.
We should definitely come into Alsace and the beautiful
exactly,
region.
absolutely. But I think the stranger part of me, especially being nowadays an ambassador, is I'm a physicist. Which definitely I'm the only one in the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think. And I used to be a professor, a teacher for almost 20 years, I think. And then switching to the high administration of education, higher education and research, being what we call in France recteur, which is, let's say, local governor for education in very different part of France. Even, I should ask you a question. Do you know the region in France which has the longest border? What is the country we have the longest border with in France? What do you think? You are a specialist of tourism and geography, I think. So
I will do my wild guess, and I will say it's UK.
Germany, perhaps?
Come on.
Was that wrong?
Yeah, absolutely, you're wrong. It's Brazil. You know that?
Of course.
And I was a
but that was a tricky question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so
Brazil.
I was the rector of French Guyana for almost 3 years.
Oh,
yes,
really?
absolutely. And I think that was the start of something very, very special for me. I think the discovery of course, new region, new culture, a new way to dealing with people. And then I got a different position in different regions of France, and suddenly I became an ambassador.
Yeah, your way into diplomacy was so unusual and so unlike every other ambassador we met through the years, actually. But so how did that happen?
Not that I meet so many ambassadors, I must admit.
Well,
but,
in my profession, I have to do once in a while, and this is the very happy exception from the stiff.
No, you're
parties,
joking.
yeah.
There are a lot of very nice colleagues, I must say.
Yes,
but I think it was an idea of the French president, President Macron, trying to mix a little bit the kind of people entering in diplomacy, having different profiles, different competencies, different backgrounds, and then because I was really involved in international relationship, in cooperation. I used to be an expert at the European Commission about education, higher education, how to involve more young people, especially in new technology, in scientific studies and so on. So I was asked to become an ambassador, just I think to try to diversify a little bit the kind of people and competencies. And I was very happy with that because that was always part of my job, meeting new people, meeting new culture, trying to understand them and how to connect with I think the main important goal we all have about the future and the young generation especially.
Yeah. And the reaction when you were asked to go to Norway, was that...
Well, that's my second post abroad. The first one was...
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
The first one was in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
I spent 3 years in Bulgaria, which was very, very interesting. The eastern part of Europe is something... And I was also connected to the Balkans, which is an amazing part of Europe.
Yeah.
Very unknown, I must say, with nice people. And then I just asked, well, I want to stay in Europe, and they proposed me Norway, and I say, okay, of course. I don't know so much about Northern Europe. That would be amazing.
Yeah. What did you know about Norway and Norwegians?
Well,
what was before you came here? How did you see us from the outside?
Well, it's a tricky question because if I answer quite frankly, I must say that I have to admit that I'd heard some stereotypes about Norwegian.
Okay, that's interesting. I want to hear what is the stereotype of a Norwegian.
And especially the fact that they can seem reserved. Yeah. Or even a little distant, and definitely harder to approach than French people and than the Eastern Europe people, for example. And so, and of course, I saw Norway as every tourist as a land of breathtaking fjords and northern lights and whatever, for sure. And moreover, a society of disrespect for nature and a strong sense of equality. I think everybody knows Norway for that.
Yes.
Well, that was the main idea I had before trying to learn a little bit more, of course, because I worked hard before coming here in Norway, trying to understand more.
Well, we work hard trying to understand ourselves.
That can be a tricky thing every now and then. You know what the Danes calls us? They call us mountain monkeys.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I will not enter this Scandinavian discussion.
No, there's always those things. I just want to go back to when you were in Bulgaria and the Balkans. And I actually served with NATO back in 1999 in Albania, and I actually was together with a lot of French military in Durres. So, and that was an early stage after the communism fell in Albania. So it was really interesting to come into Albania then. It was unmature. They were kind of getting rid of everything that was related to communism, and then they needed to start build up again. And but to see how the efficiency of the French military was really interesting for me, and it was a good learning experience. And that was, before that I had been to Paris once in my life, but after that I started to get an interest of France even more. And that has really grown on me, and I've been visiting France a lot of times after that. And I'm actually going to this in August with my 2 kids from Iceland. Okay. We are going to Deauville. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but I'm really looking forward to that. I've never been at the coastline. I've always been like in Paris, and I've been in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, but always, and of course I've been at the coast, but then it was Cannes.
You mean in the western coast?
The western coast,
which is really amazing.
It
is. Brittany, for example, which I think sometimes when I was in Norway, it really reminds me some very, rough aspect of the western coast of France, or Brittany especially.
I agree.
So I'm really looking forward to that. So so going back to Norway and your impression, have you been able to travel a lot in Norway? Have you seen
a lot? I think a lot more than some Norwegian people. That was quite a surprise for me, especially talking for people, I must say, living in Oslo. When I was saying, okay, I went already, I don't know, 3 or 4 times to Kirkenes, for example, and say, Kirkenes, what an idea! I've never went there. And I love high north. I was of course to Svalbard and to different part of Norway. I think it's really part of my job to meet people, trying to understand the diversity of a country, not only staying in the capital, and especially with the French Institute, which is the cultural part of the embassy, we are really trying to connect with local communities to understand a little bit more, to organize some cultural events and connect to the schools, connect to the, as I said, to the communities, which is very important to understand a little bit more the variety of a country.
Right. Well, you're right about. I mean, I've been to the Viking ships in Oslo once in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I must
8.
say, exactly as the same situation for me in the Eiffel Tower. I can't even remember when I went to the Eiffel Tower. I think once in my life. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you're right. You've seen more of Norway than most Norwegians. But I want to go back to your impression of Norway and Norwegians before you came. Now you've been here for 4 years.
Yes.
Has it changed? The impression that you had beforehand? Or did we actually fulfill all your expectations?
That wasn't expectations. Sometimes it was, ideas that are floating everywhere, and that has to be I confronted to the reality. And especially talking about what I say about Norwegians, I really realized that what some people might have called reserve or was not at all coldness, as I was said before, but really, let's say, a different rhythm.
Interesting.
Norwegians build trust very slowly.
Yeah.
Do we?
Absolutely. But once given, I think it's really as deep as their fjords.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
Nice way to say it. Yeah.
And that was quite very interesting for me. And I now have very good, I think, Norwegian friends. I really trust, and I think they trust me, and we are eager to meet each other. I think in our respective homes in the following years, and I'm quite sure that it will happen. It's really something deeply connected now, but it really took time.
It takes time, and I think we have a known name in the travel industry called Arne Hjeltnes. He used to say during the pandemics, he said that it was really, really nice during the pandemic because we needed to have this long distance between us. And when the pandemics came in, it was a little bit struggle because then we had to go from 2 meters to only 1 meter. And I think you're right about it. We owe a little bit. If you go to on board a bus, it's like you don't really want to sit next to anyone. That's how we are a little bit.
I think so. And at the very beginning, it's a little bit hard to understand for some Latin countries like France, for example. But if you do try to understand what does it mean and to make the efforts and in both ways to understand the differences and despite that, trying to connect to people, it's really enriching you. And that's exactly why I love traveling and meeting new culture and new kind of people. And that was very, very, very interesting. And also, I just want to say that I really appreciated the Norwegian sense of collective effort and collective sense of interest, which is also something very valuable. And I would like that more people will share this kind of spirit.
Absolutely.
May I say that we are also sharing, perhaps Norwegian, well, I'm not so sure that they are really understanding it. We are sharing so many values. We are and may I call them European values?
I think so. Absolutely.
That's also very, very valuable. And despite our differences, it's very important to understand that we have this basis in common, our values.
I think that if you look back in history, we had our constitution in 1814. It's very much built on the principles from the French Revolution. And whatever you actually, how you changed things in Europe. So we should be and I guess we are, very grateful to the French nation for what you actually did on a European basis. It affected us in so many ways.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
Definitely did. So,
I think that's not. I think we, the Norwegians, most of us think that 1814, we created our own liberty and freedom and equality, but we didn't. You did.
Well, in a very strange manner, in a way, because in a very French manner, with a lot of shouting and violence and so on and so on. But yes, I think we worked a lot about this idea of democracy, of liberty, equality, whatever, and that was also the basis of the American Revolution, and we are celebrating this year this friendship and the origin of the American Revolution, especially with the French Marquis de Lafayette and so on. But that was, I think, something very important about this global idea of democracy and liberating people and so on. So, and after that, I think it's really the basis of our common values, as I said, as Europeans, and I think we understand it more than ever nowadays.
Well, I think you should export it back now.
That's right. Well, we have to work all together for that.
We need to work all together. Well said.
That is so true.
I'm going to jump over to a little bit other topic.
Yeah.
You mentioned where you're from, Alsace.
Yes.
And today is a special day. It's the 24th of June, which is Alsace Fan Day.
Absolutely.
And the first meeting I had with you is 4 years ago. Exactly on this day, at another of our hotels in Clasinau Hotels, where we had our first Alsace Fan Day organized with a lot of people having a fond and good memory. So, but tell me a little bit from Alsace and from your point of view, and why is Alsace so beautiful, and but also why do we have this Alsace Fan Day?
Yeah, so Alsace is the land of my father and my father's family. I think it's a very special region of France, very different from others.
Yes.
It's as you know, it's grounded on the German border, and it was a land of confrontation for centuries between France and Germany, and especially during the last World War. But it's really a land of mixed culture, and that's exactly why I really appreciate it. And it's so beautiful, I must say, so green with amazing villages, and moreover, the definitely. I think greatest and white wine ever.
I so much agree.
I love the Alsatian white wine. And my grandparents, they are from Colmar, which is on the southern part of Alsace, with what we call la route des vins, the wine road, that every village is around them are amazing wineries and so on. And well, it's a lot of flowers, a lot of beautiful houses, and really grounded to history and cultural heritage. And it's something very different from the rest of France, really connected to also Germany in a way, but with a French touch.
Yeah.
So something special.
I must say so. I had the pleasure of visiting Alsace and Colmar region some years ago with my wife, and we totally loved it. We visited a lot of winery, which is where we tasted us through a lot of beautiful, great wines. So it made a lifelong impression to me visiting Alsace. And to everyone listening to this podcast and viewing this podcast, if I can do a recommendation of somewhere you need to go to before you leave this planet, then Alsace is the place to go.
Don't leave the planet.
No, please.
Wait a little bit. Yeah.
But I agree. I've always also been there, and it's. I mean, France is. There are so many regions.
Absolutely, very different from one.
They're very
each,
different from another.
Yeah.
And Alsace is quite special.
Very.
I've also been there and seen that, and it's beautiful, as you say, and the whites. Yeah. Ooh, the whites.
And
fantastic.
that's also why we thought that we should have a cooperation together with the Alsace organization in Norway. And we have been doing that now for the 4th year, and really happy with that cooperation and to be able to have focus on Alsace.
Yeah.
And I think those things also are a good learning experience when it comes to culture, food, wine, but also to be able to talk with each other and be able to communicate with each other.
And talking about the Alsatian Fan Day, it's also related to the strong international community of Alsatian people, of descendants of Alsatian people all over the world. So you have this kind of community in America, in South America, in some country in Asia, and of course different countries in Europe. And people, they are really rooted in their nowadays country, but they remember where they come from, and it's really, I think, make it this idea stronger about connecting different cultures, as you said, and not forgetting where we come from.
Exactly.
Which doesn't mean not being integrated in the country you are living in, but don't forget, please, the variety of culture we are coming from. And I think it's very up to date because we all wanted to understand a little bit more what we are coming from, what is this planet, and connecting to different kind of people, and being able to talk to each other even if we are not exactly the same with the same background. So it's really related to acceptability, integration, and so on. So it's very interesting.
I would say so, yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah, well, normally when Norwegians interview foreigners coming to Norway, the first question is always, "What do you think about Norway?"
Yeah,
it's very, But I have to ask you, after 4 years, if you should pick out 1 or 2 or 3 impressions, memories, what would they be? Your best.
You think about Norwegian people, about the Norwegian culture,
your experiences, the things you've experienced in Norway.
The best or the worst?
Let's start with the best. And we'll work our way slowly to the worst.
Well, I think, of course, above everything, but as everybody knows, the amazing beauty of this country, which is definitely at the level I expected, even more. And especially the high north, that was a so amazing discovery for me. And I want to say something something I like to say, and usually it's really shocking for Norwegian people, but I will say it. I think when I was in the high north, or Svalbard, for example, I get exactly the same amazing impression I got once when I was in the middle of the rainforest in South America, when I was posted in. And people say, "Are you crazy? It's not exactly the same. How can you compare rainforest and the high north?" But for the second time of my life, I was overwhelmed by the greatness and the power of nature.
Right.
And where can you find it? In a very sensitive way. I even nowadays I'm chilling. Goosebumps thinking of that. And I got strong impression that exactly I got some amazing memories of the rainforest in the middle of the high north, and that means I think also the people who are living there, how strong they are, and how committed they are to the defense of the environment, and their connection with nature, which I think we as citizens in big cities and so on, we have completely forgotten.
Yeah,
This is true.
And so that was amazing feelings for me. So that's the first thing. And in the way of life of Norway, I think there are very strong, I think, feeling coming from the Norwegian way of life, I must say, especially the work-life balance in Norway, which is so attractive, especially for French families now that we are living, and we would definitely want to stay in Norway because of that. That's something quite impressive, how you succeed to be a strong country and to preserve this balance, this equilibrium. I think it's very, very interesting. And also being French, I must say I'm quite stunned by the great ability of Norwegian people to make compromise and to avoid conflicts as much as possible, which is definitely not the French way of living. So that's very, very interesting. I was very happy to see it and trying to understand how you are managing that. I must say, yeah.
That was the polite part.
No.
But what about the? Is there something that? We talked about bad experiences, negative
No,
things.
I didn't have bad experience, but some things that I really don't even understand nowadays, or I say perhaps it will be nice for Norwegian to test some different ways of dealing with things, and no, it's a joke in a way, but. Something which was very surprising for me, and I didn't really understand, is the way Norwegians are dealing with your lunch break. I really don't understand that.
No.
So this very quick lunch break with matpakke.
Yeah, matpakke. Yeah.
That's something I couldn't really understand. I think, try once to take time to have lunch. And I think Norwegian people will be enjoying that. I think
it's actually really interesting, and you don't have to go further than Sweden, and they have a different culture where they sit down and they have like a proper meal. But we have our two toast with something with cheese on it.
I really didn't think the first time I experienced that. I think it was a joke, and we will have a real lunch after that. No.
This is it.
Okay, this is it. So it's very difficult for me, for example, as an ambassador, which is quite usual, to invite people for a lunch. 2 hours and to have discussion and so on. Come on, 2 hours for a lunch? Are you crazy? Yeah. And so that was something I had to deal with. It's. And you know that the French way of having lunch is part now of the immaterial cultural heritage. Yeah, absolutely. And not only about the kind of meal you are eating, but the way you are ordering and organizing the lunch.
You need to tell us how is a typical French lunch then.
So we will have I hope we will have a 2 hours. Podcast, especially on this point.
We should probably
with a real demonstration.
We should be. That would be nice.
But yes, I think it's something quite important. It's also part of the social life.
Sure.
So it's not only a question of having lunch and eating, but the way you are introducing first the discussion about what you are eating, what your culinary experience ever. I tasted that and that in this shop. I bought something amazing in this little shop, and so on and so on. And after that, entering some real conversation because you want to say something which is deeper than that. So it's really part of the social life, even in the. I must say, in your today or everyday work. Yes, it's quite important. Well, I'm not saying that every day we are taking 2 hours for lunch. That's not true.
No.
But sometimes it's quite important to take this time.
I think that's definitely a good thing, and but I think that's also part of. You said something about work balance.
Yeah.
And I think that short lunch is something also been introduced, so we can go home earlier.
Yeah. I perfectly understand that. Yes.
But I don't necessarily say that is a good thing, because it's also because I think what we have seen a lot is that people are having lunch by themselves and miss that social part of it. And also when we introduced home office.
Yes, exactly.
You also lose that.
Yes, I'm a little bit worried about the new habits in the young generation. Yeah. I can see that also with my children and so on, and especially during the COVID time. And after that, you have a lot of remote work, as you said. Yeah. So everybody stay at home. Or also with this new idea of open space everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So everybody's eating a sandwich or something like that in front of their computer. Yeah. And I'm a little bit worried about that. I think it's quite important, even at work, to have good connection with others. It's perhaps the way you are dealing in a different manner about the real thing you have to deal in your work, you know, trying to understand a little bit more why these people are thinking this way and so on. Yeah. So I don't say that everybody should change from one day to another, but I'm a little bit worried about this tendency of isolation, especially at work.
I think that's a very interesting point. Now I have to say, you also have a glass of wine at lunch. Normally, that would be totally unheard of in Norway. Yeah, we have a very strange.
Don't we try to say we are becoming more and more European in Norway? So that's when you say that's an opening for maybe having that glass of wine for lunch. Maybe, but it's not typically. But you will see it in Oslo more and more that people actually go out and have a lunch and also
to a certain extent. Yeah, you might. I once talked. I think you're so right about this. I talked to a Norwegian politician once, and he said that nothing really happens in the parliament. We don't really agree. We don't find solutions. But when we're traveling, when the committees are traveling, and we meet at the bar or at the lunch, then we find solutions.
Yeah.
So we talk to each other in a different way. So I think you might be, into something here.
Yeah. I'm going to jump a little bit again to another topic, because we are, of course, interested in to learn a little bit about your views on tourism. And of course, France is one of the biggest countries that people visit during all year.
Not one of the biggest, it's the biggest.
It is the biggest.
It's number one.
So what do you think Norway can learn from France when it comes to tourism and being attractive as a tourist destination?
But first, I must say that Norway is more and more a very attractive country. Yeah. Especially in my embassy, we can see each year the number of French tourists growing and growing, and I think that's something variable. And I think the global warming of the planet will help you in a way. Sadly, I must say.
It is, yeah.
But I think so. You're doing quite well already. But perhaps I think something which could be very interesting is to highlight the wide diversity and variety of offers available for tourists. That means, for example, the geographical diversity. Yeah. You have mountains, you have highlands, and you have also inland, which is something very, very interesting. And the coast is also very beautiful, so that could be something interesting. And also his history and cultural heritage. How can we understand? Well, we French people, for example, we are always very interested in history and culture. It's not only geography and landscape and so on. So connecting history, cultural heritage, and the beauty of nature, it's something quite interesting. For example, I love your stavkirke.
Yeah.
They are so amazing, so beautiful. But it's not easy to find them, I must say. So I'm really struggling sometimes. But after that, it's something really, really beautiful. And to understand a little bit more where you come from, what are the connections with the rest of Europe and so on, and the rest of the world, I think it's always something interesting. And perhaps also to highlight a little bit more the culinary experience, because I'm French, so I think you have wonderful products, especially seafood products, which really deserve to be a little bit more visible, and not only salmon. Okay.
No, so much.
No, we have so much to offer, and nice products.
But I think you're pointing at a really interesting topic, and I think it's just recently that we in the Norwegian tourism have understood the importance of storytelling. Yeah,
absolutely.
We are getting better at it, but we still are not good enough. We are like, okay, what you see is what you get kind of experience, and we are focused on nature and those things, but we have an interesting history in so many places. You're talking about stavkirke, and why did we do it like that? What was the idea of stavkirke? How do we actually tell that story? I don't think so, good enough at least. And it's also interesting now, and these days, and maybe we need to touch that as well, because it's a World Cup in football these days, if somebody knows.
I don't know.
No, me
We'll
neither.
see
But suddenly we are now bringing back the Viking history now. But if we go 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we were never actually interested in that part of our history. Or we have kind of
a little bit ashamed,
I think it's a little bit of shame.
Exactly. When I was talking to some Norwegian people, I was quite surprised to see that, well, okay, it's a dark part of the history of Norwegian people, okay, but we all have to assume where we are coming from.
I think so. And compared to...
And it's so important to understand the history of our continent. The connection, for example, with France, with Italy, with whatever, it's so important.
It is. I think so as well. And if you look at Iceland, they are really into their heritage and the history of the Vikings and how that have influenced the Icelandic community and how they live and things like that. And they use that for all it's worth. But as you say, we have been a little bit ashamed of it, and I think when you have seen the Viking shows going on Netflix and things like that, now there has become a new interest.
I agree. And can I say something more, which is always very funny for me? In front of the Royal Palace in Oslo, you have a huge statue of a man on a horse.
Yes.
And who is it?
It's Karl Johan.
It's Karl Johan. But when I was there, and so especially where I can see young Norwegian scholars and pupils, I'm always saying, "Oh, you know this man?" He said, "Yes." You know that? I think he is a Frenchman. I say, "No, ma'am, it's our king." But say, "Yes, but he's French. He's French. That it's Bernadotte."
Oh, yeah.
And the story of connection with Napoleon too. Napoleon is quite a difficult subject for, but we have to assume it.
Yes.
And this connection at the moment with Bernadotte and France at this moment is also something very interesting for me.
Definitely.
And I was so surprised to see that a lot of Norwegian people do not know this part of of history, and French people too. So I think we have to understand a little bit more how connected, in bad way or in good way, the European countries are all along our common history.
Absolutely.
Because we are coming from that, and that is very, I think, important to understand it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's so interesting topic, and I think if we can bring more of those interesting topics like that with Bernadotte and those things, that will make our culture and the reason to visit Norway even more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
For a lot of Europeans.
Exactly.
And not only because of the beautiful fjords and the
Absolutely,
nature, because we have
absolutely.
so much to offer.
Yeah, that's right. I think regarding the Vikings, I think we have been a bit careful without using the whole symbolism and everything, because the neo-Nazis stole.
Absolutely, you're
parts
right.
of it.
So we have to take care.
Yeah.
I think we have to think about it, and not also to rewrite history, which will be very dangerous too, in a bad manner. But to understand the roots of our common history, it's something very important. So, for example, it was very interesting for me to enhance the relationship between Normandy, the French region of Normandy, and Norway.
We had Rollo.
Yeah, and Rollo, exactly. And you know that in the very center of Ålesund, for example, we have this amazing statue of Rollo, and which was offered by the French city of Rouen to Ålesund.
Yeah.
In memory of this connection, and the same statues is at the center, in the center of Rouen too.
Really?
Exactly, with the French, writing on both of the statue.
I
So
didn't know that.
that's also something interesting.
Yeah.
Rollo, okay, he made very different things in France for sure, but Rouen, the city of Normandy, really think that it's part of our common history, and that was the basis of the making of Normandy. So it's interesting to know it, and this connection is also interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
It
Very
is interesting. I didn't know that.
No,
but,
that was a new thing for me as well, and
well, there
that's
you
why
go.
that's what we need. We need to learn, and we need to sit down and have a chat about things, and then we learn new stuff, and that's so great. And I think that's one of the big roles also for being an ambassador is actually to speak with people and try to understand the culture a bit, and also to tell the stories and get a good communication.
Yeah.
So
I used to say that to travel is to educate yourself.
You're right.
And I think and I also too often I write that the most important part of a travel is to meet people.
Yeah.
That's what you always remember. And that would be, it's your job, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's meeting people, trying not to judge anyone, but to understand where they come from and why they are not exactly on the same plan, what they are not understanding each other, what is the root of this gap sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's something very important. I think that one of the most remarkable achievement of Europe, and especially European Union, I must say it, is definitely the Erasmus program. That I think I remember that was we had this very interesting celebration of the making of this program in the metro, in the underground of Paris. Have a huge billboards about that, and the main script was result Erasmus 1 million baby.
exactly.
This intercultural influence, and for example, for my children, they really think that it's completely normal to study abroad and to spend 1 year in one country, 1 year in a different one, and come back and so on and so on, which was not at all the case when I was young. It was. I'm always saying, when I used to go from France to Italy or from France to Spain, we spend 1 hour at the toll at the border for the customs and to show passport and what. And so nowadays we are crossing countries and borders without knowing it. That's Europe.
Yeah, it is.
That's Europe. A huge achievement for that, and especially for young people.
You think Norway should take more part in Europe?
I think we are closer and closer nowadays, and I'm happy to contribute to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
yeah. Yeah, we need to be careful to go into politics here, Tom.
No, but definitely we are closer and closer. And that's really nice.
I think it's more a question of time than anything else. So, from my point of view, that we're going to be.
I will not enter this discussion,
No,
but but being able to talk to each other and to connect and have the same understanding about a lot of different subjects is really the key for our solidarity.
It is.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry to say, but this podcast has to end.
No, really?
Sometimes, at least. But I
have to say, Stephen, before you consider it, I think the most sad thing about an end is to see you live.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really have to say that you made a deep impression on everyone that has met you during these 4 years. And I won't disqualify your follower, but whoever that might be, but you will be sorely missed, Florence.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And you have 10 more days or something, is it?
Oh, a little bit less than a month.
A little bit, yeah.
Less than a month.
So, yes.
That's too short.
It has definitely been, as I said, I met you today, 4 years ago, and it has been a pleasure to be able to know you a little bit, and it has been also great having you around on our locations and doing things connected with Alsace and the organization there, and so it has been a real pleasure, and it has also been a real pleasure to have you with us in Hotell og Reiselivspodden. I just need to ask this question: do you really think France have a chance against Norway on Friday?
Come on.
Do you really think
Come on.
Don't remember, this will be aired after you guys know the result.
Yeah.
I think that
But then you heard it here first, if she actually thought there was
and I think next time we will meet in the final.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's a good prediction.
Yes. I think that will be the way.
So
let's see.
A draw on Friday and then meet in the final.
Meet in the final, absolutely.
And then you will invite us to the embassy to watch the final?
Of course.
Yeah.
And I will offer you some champagne just for as a consolation.
I thought you were going to say to celebrate our victory.
Well, again, this has been a privilege to have you with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. That was an amazing moment for me, and I really want to say thank you to Norway, because that was 4 amazing years. And I think an amazing discovery. And I think I found some great friends here in Norway. I'm looking forward to coming back.
You're always welcome back.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And never too often.
Tusen takk.
Tom,
Thank you.
Tom, dette var jo helt fantastisk.
Ja, vet du hva, altså for en dame. Jeg er blitt så glad i en ambassadør, Stephen. Fordi hun er så menneskelig, hun er så varm. Og hun er så klok.
Veldig.
Så det har vært en ære og en glede. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Ja.
Thank you so
much. Så med
much.
det, Tom, en ny episode er gjennomført med selveste.
Ja.
Tusen takk.
Hadi.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.